Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode. Hello.
Hi, we're back.
We're back. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Today is a special day.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. It is 20 years for us, you guys. Hey, is this like, because it's 20 years on the 20th, is that
Ooh.
like some kind of something? Isn't there something like that when it's your birthday? Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Is it a thing, guys? Tell us if this is a thing or not.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
That didn't even cross my mind.
That didn't even cross my
That's
mind.
funny.
It just did as we started talking. I was like, well, wait, this
Yeah.
is different. Anyways, it's been 20 years today that we have been married. And we just thought we'd chat about it a little bit.
We've kind of done it.
We've done it before. Last year we did like a reflection of 19 years of
Yeah.
marriage. So we're not going to really do that. But we were talking and we thought it would be fun to, because some of you may be getting ready to get married or you just got married or whatever it may be. And we thought we'd talk about what we thought our lives will look like at 20 years versus what they do currently.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you, when we said I do on that day, what did you
What did
think
I-
in 20 years? Could you
20
first of all,
years.
I will say, I don't think I could have even like thought that far forward of thinking
Yeah,
what it would be like, because to me, that seemed like I would be 43. That's
Yeah.
so old.
I think just even that question is funny to think about, because there would have been no way possible that I would have even thought about what life would be like in 20 years on that day. I do remember like realizing, because of our engagement was so long and things like that like I didn't even ever think our wedding day would ever come, because it just felt like forever. And so like even thinking 20 years into the future, like that just didn't even seem like that was even realistic to think about. But I definitely would never have thought of how our life has gone. Like I could have never imagined all the things that have happened and the things that we've done and the highs and the lows. I would have never have thought any of those were a part of that story.
No.
If I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like when we got married, there was a certain path and a certain way that you do things in suburban America that I felt like at that time, I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think for me,
yeah.
it was where we were in I guess I didn't have a job yet. I was still doing an internship because I hadn't been able to find a job yet, but
You had multiple jobs.
I did at that time.
Yeah.
So I technically did have a job, yes, but like not what I was thinking it was. In fact, I remember like a week before our wedding, I had interviewed for a position I was really interested in, and
Oh yeah.
we didn't know the whole time I was on my honeymoon, because he said, I won't call you either way and tell you on your honeymoon. I'll tell you after. And then he called me like the week after to say I hadn't gotten it. And I was so upset. I thought I nailed the
guess I'm
interview.
glad it wasn't on
And
my honeymoon,
he
'cause then
did
that
say,
would've-
I remember him saying, you did so well in the interview, but I hired somebody that has like 3 years of experience versus fresh out of university. I was like, fine. But anyways,
I don't even remember that job.
it was something with the city. Yeah.
Some
Anyways,
marketing thing. I'm sure.
that's fine. But I definitely thought like our careers are going to take us on this path. We're going to have
Yeah.
this kind of house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I had thought about kids really at that point. I thought they're in our future, but I don't know.
Are you sure? I feel like
Well,
at that time,
at one point we joked when we were engaged that I wanted 6 kids. We joked
I
about
don't think that was a joke.
No, well,
There was like an aspect that there was truth in there somewhere that you wanted a big family.
Clearly, that stopped pretty quickly.
Yes.
Once I was pregnant once, I said that's not happening. But yeah, so I think
You
it
were
definitely.
pregnant 2 more times, but after the first one,
No,
you realized
after the
this is
first
not
one, I was
something
like, we're
I'm
not
gonna
having
do
6
a lot of
children.
times. Yeah.
Exactly. So I definitely saw our lives doing, and maybe that's what it is that because we lived in suburban America and stuff like that, like there just usually is kind of a path you follow. And so both of us probably always said like, oh, we'd love to live in a city or something like that. I think we just felt like it was very unrealistic. Like that's not something, I don't know how that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think at that time too, I felt like, you start the path and you start kind of in the, I don't know, it's like kind of like the stream in like Finding Nemo where, they jump into that stream and you just keep going.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's what we were doing. Like once we ticked the box, we got married, and then we ticked the box of getting the house and the car and all that stuff. And we just kept going in that stream. And I didn't feel like we ever would have deviated or like jumped out of that stream at all. And we totally did multiple times.
Yeah, I think too, and we may have said this last year when we talked about like our reflections on 19 years of marriage, but I think, and sorry, it's going to sound cliche what I say, but you think on your wedding day when you're getting married, you think there's no other time that I could possibly love this person more or like know this person more. Like you can't, I remember not being able to comprehend like what would it look like in 20 years? What would our relationship look like? That kind of thing. You don't comprehend obviously anything that is hard that you're going to go through because, which I think in some ways like it's not going to be an easy ride, but at the same time you don't want to envision those bumps in the road and those kinds of things, those hard times.
Well, I think too because we were so young when we got married, like
we were
the hard
naive
times
when it
were
came
like
to that.
nothing.
Yeah. For
us.
Yes,
not
for
saying
us.
that other people have different
may.
stories, but
Exactly.
like I'm just saying for us, the hard times weren't.
We're
like
not
nothing.
that. Yeah, I mean, the hard time was I couldn't find a job after 9/11, and so that was difficult. And I felt like that was the end of the world because, again, my world was like, this is the direction you're going. So yeah, I think 20 years later, the like love and respect I have for you is drastically. Not to say I didn't have it then, but it's just grown so much. And I think you don't. It's everything from like everything we've been through to the hard times in our marriage to like watching you become a father, and then each stage of what that fatherhood looks like. And first it was for boys and now you're a father of a daughter and like what that relationship looks like. I mean, all those different things and watching, us like in our move and really hard things we've been through with some of that stuff. I mean, all of that. So I think, definitely I could not have envisioned what that looked like. You'd think in that moment, oh, this is like, I don't know. You think of the wedding as like this ultimate thing and then and
then okay, so that's one step, and then the natural step is the next one, and like that kind of thing. And I definitely think that we were just walking up that similar staircase that most people do, right? And you just keep taking those certain steps, and
and there's nothing wrong with that staircase. That is totally for some people and that kind of thing. For whatever reason, I would say probably, what was it, 5-6 years into our marriage is when like then things just started changing for us as far as like the direction of our lives, of opening our own businesses and things like that. Like I think that was kind of like the catapult into a lot of different things. And so I think you just can't. I first of all, I think I would have thought, in 20 years we're so old, like we won't be able to do much. And like I don't feel. I mean, my body tells me that I feel older than I am at that point, but I very much do not feel as if I'm like this old person or something like that. I feel wiser.
I feel like in some ways I don't feel much older than what we did when we got married.
Yeah,
but the amount of things that we've gone through, the experiences that we've been a part of, I mean, all of that has made us obviously different. I hope it makes us look different and feel different to others, like, because I would say I'm not that same person for sure.
Well, and I think that would be the thing is like I hear, because we do a lot of stuff with marriage prep with people and stuff like that, of like the person you marry that day, like, yes, they're still quote unquote the same person, like they're still at the core, but like as you grow together and as you age together, you're going to go through different things, or things are going to come up that were from your past that you didn't realize you hadn't dealt with and need to, and stuff like that, that you're going to grow And, sometimes it's happening together. Sometimes it's one person's growing as they're going through something and that kind of thing. And so you ultimately, 20 years down the line, like we aren't the same people. Like at the core we are, but there's a lot of things we've grown in. There's a lot of things we still could grow in, of course, but like individually and that kind of thing. And so I think it's weird. You can't picture on that day, and I couldn't for sure,
no
of like thinking through that of like, oh, wait, like Pat might go through some times where he like really changes in these certain things that, and that kind of stuff. And so, and especially because we got married so young, we went through a lot of growing pains, I think you could call them, together.
There were some good ones too.
What'd you say?
So there were some good ones too.
No, I'm not saying.
They weren't painful.
But even the good ones are hard sometimes too, because you're
true.
Learning and stuff like that. So.
But yeah, I would never have thought about that. Like the fact that like I'm standing here saying I do to you, and you're going to be a different person in 20 years, like that. In my mind, I just never would have thought that at all. Like, you're you. I mean, you're you for sure.
That's true still, but
that's still true. But at the same time, there are things that you've gone through personally, we've gone through in our relationship, and other things like having kids, like all that stuff has tweaked us and made us more of who potentially we really should be in some ways, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe when, again, this is maybe because we were married so young, is that there's this, I hate to say it, and I totally fell into it, that like rom-com view of like life will always be these certain like highs, really, and stuff like that. And really when it comes down to it 20 years into it, like, we do, and I know some people hate when I say this, sorry, but we do have a routine. We kind of have a routine thing. Even though we live in London, we get the kids to school. We have dinners, we have activities to get kids to, stuff like that. And we live, I know it sounds, but we live kind of a quiet life in some ways. That maybe sounds
weird.
Minimalist
life?
Maybe yeah. I don't know. But I hate that word has way too many, true. We don't, that makes me think of white walls with nothing on them.
I would say basic too, but that's not a good word. That's not right either.
Yeah. It's not
a routine life.
Yeah, what I'm saying is not negative. There's just certain things when you throw kids into the mix and stuff like that, they have to get to school and they might have activities after school and you have to feed them. And there are just certain things that happen that do that. Now, when I say like it's routine in general, like we do lots of different things and we explore as a family, and, this morning our house was filled with, or last night, sorry, one son is in here on my desk taking up our whole room as he's composing a song and trying to come up with lyrics for it. And then I walk in thinking her daughter should be asleep and she's writing a book. And illustrating the book. I'm like, what is wrong? Our kids all need to be in bed. Like, get out of my room.
Can you not just be normal and go to bed and not think creatively? And
that's what Veda said. I had an idea and I had to get it down. And then I came in here and Sam was like, hold on, I have an idea. I need to get it down. I was like, why are you both saying the same thing to me? So, and so that routine and quiet is not a negative thing. It's actually, I probably thought when we got married that 20 years from now, we'd still be like in this, like, go. We have to have all these experiences, all that stuff. And there is a part of me that still wants experiences for 100%. But I have been able to grow in that a lot and realize it's also okay to have quiet evenings, or it's okay to have a couple of friends over and just chill. Like in that stage of our life, we were going out a lot with friends and things like that. And so,
I don't think I ever would have imagined myself, I don't know, maybe, but like 20 years ago, not thinking like we would have a quiet evening with some friends and we're playing a board game that four of us are obsessed with. I don't think I would have pictured that.
No, so. I probably wouldn't have pictured that either. That's for sure. So yeah, again, that's not a negative thing. It's actually a wonderful thing. I think when you get to that point where we talked about that in the podcast about, advice on our 40s to your 20s and stuff like that. Like, I don't think we feel that pressure 20 years in our marriage. I don't think we feel that pressure in our marriage either to have date nights look like this extravagant thing where we used to be to the point where I feel like we would try and like outdo each other, and like our dates got a bit like, how do I top that kind of thing? Where now it's like, oh, let's have a nice meal and stuff like that. It doesn't mean we don't do nice things every once in a while,
Or
but
try to surprise one another.
yeah, exactly. That stuff is still very much in it. You've learned in 20 years not to give me roses
yeah. There's lots of
or lilies because they make me sneeze.
lots of normal, well, not normal things. I shouldn't say that, but things that maybe media tells you or culture tells you that you should get your significant other, and that's like not my at all. So
no,
and
I don't want
had to learn that
jewelry.
over time.
I mean, I like wearing jewelry, but like I don't need expensive jewelry because I often lose it. Or like my wedding ring, how many times have we had this fixed? And I keep doing the same thing over and over to the prong of it.
Yeah.
And then, I just, for roses and lilies are two things that I think guys get girls often, and they both make me sneeze. And I feel like you should be more creative than getting roses.
Yeah.
So poor Pat has a lot of pressure. At least we live in a place there's a lot of flower shops now that you can get things that are
Although
unique.
I think, to be fair, I think flower wise, you would much rather like me try to find something really like some good food place or something like that rather than food or rather than flowers.
Yeah. Yeah. Or go on a walk or something. So yeah. And I think all of this is stuff in whatever direction it may be that you start off the opposite, where you're living in a city and that kind of thing when you first get married, and then you decide, actually, we want to be more in the suburb. I mean, whatever, you just have no clue what direction it's going to take you. And so I think 20 years in, I'm thankful of the path that we've been on. There have been, I don't regret anything at all. And I hate saying this, but it's true. Like, I'm thankful for some of the hard things that we've been through. I'm not thankful for the fact that I can say that now.
Yeah.
Not thankful for the fact that they happen necessarily. I think some of them could have definitely been avoided.
Yeah.
Some of them could have been avoided because we could have been, kinder to one another and, went after help sooner.
Better,
some of them could have been avoided if other people had been like in different places and hadn't treated us certain ways and stuff like that too. But again, all of those things have added up into the story of where we are now 20 years in, and the growth we have both done. I think the way we're able to talk to our kids about things now and that kind of thing, and how we can help them as we launch them into life.
Yeah. I think because of some of that stuff, like it really, I don't know, I feel more confident in how to do life with our kids. To explain the ups and downs of life way better than I think I probably assumed that, again, we would live that cookie cutter life once we got married 20 years ago. And it would be all like, the rom-com, funny family movie kind of thing.
I mean, we often does feel like
where
that
like,
sometimes.
I think that because of some of those other things that we've grown through and that we've experienced, has allowed me to be obviously a better dad, a better husband, but also like, I think it's able to help them process things. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just think it's definitely not something I would have thought about 20 years ago.
So what do you think, we talked about what we thought 20 years in would look like. What do you think the next 20 years is going to look like? And then we can come back and listen to it.
Yeah,
I think at that point.
I think, to be honest, I think it's gonna. I think that we'll continue in the next 20 years. I think we'll continue into that quiet routine thing. I think we'll probably even push into it a little bit more. But I think it will feel so fast.
Yeah.
I think the next 20 years will feel a lot faster than the first. In some ways, but I don't necessarily have a specific thing that I'm hopeful for in 20 years, other than I'm excited to continue to do life with our kids and to walk with them in these next seasons that they'll step into. So maybe
I'm excited to.
So maybe it's more like the things I'm excited about for in the next 20 years.
Oh, that's.
I'm excited of the things that you and I are like the next step in our relationship, because our kids are getting older, and so not that they are becoming more independent, right? And so that changes the things that you and I
Our
can
son
do
made
together.
his own pizza.
Yeah, there's just certain things that will be more available, I think, in our relationship. for us to be able to do, that I'm excited about. And yeah, I think I'm even more open to more adventure. I think initially when we got married, I thought, the adventure part was getting to that marriage and then we'll do the thing that everyone does, right? Or that you think everyone does, at that time, where, you do the cookie cutter life. And so, yeah, I'm more excited about certain things. I know I also am very, conscious that we will definitely still have a lot of like valleys that we'll have to go through. But I feel way more equipped to get through them, and things like that. And so I don't necessarily worry about those as much, for the next 20, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just like way excited. I think being in our 60s doesn't sound that old anymore. I mean, it does sound old.
Our parents are in their late 60s,
but it
so
does
that's weird.
sound old. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm looking forward to us even being closer. I think, as like you said, as our kids are getting older and things like that, there's parts of that just rips my heartstrings out. But also, I think for our marriage, we are entering into a new season with that. Like in 3 years, we'll quote unquote launch our first kid out into whatever he decides to do next, and that kind of thing. And so that's like a new season.
Yeah.
And then it feels like every 3 years we'll be in a new season, because then another one will come, and then there will just be one left in the house. And I mean, every time the kids start talking about it, I'm like, stop talking. But I think that's family wise, but I think marriage wise too, those are going to be hard times, because it's going to be adjustments for us, and we'll both deal with it differently. But I think it will also be an opportunity for us to grow closer and things. I'm surprised you didn't say one thing, because you've been talking about it a lot, that we're that somehow we're not someplace where we can go like on a walk by the water every day or something.
I mean, yes, like I want that, but I'm also.
He hasn't defined like what the water means.
But
if
I
that
don't
is the
necessarily.
sea or the river.
It's not something I'm expecting.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
You would like that.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I would like to live on the coast somewhere, or like near a body of water that I can.
We do live near a body of water. We can go walk.
Well, yes, and I do that. I do walk by the river a lot, but I think. Yeah, there's something different about hearing waves.
Versus, it depends. Well, if a boat goes by, you can hear waves.
It's not the same. But that's something I would like to see in the next 20 years. But it doesn't necessarily.
It could mean more holidays by the water.
I'm not expecting that. I'm not like we must. In 20 years.
I guess that's the thing. Maybe if I used the word, what are you expecting in the next 20 years? Maybe that's the wrong word. It's what are you looking forward to, and what are your hopes in the next 20 years? Because I think whenever you put, and this is from one who holds on to expectations sometimes, whenever you put expectations on something, it usually just means that you're let down because it doesn't quite meet what you were, thinking the expectation would be. So, I think I'm excited for the hope of more adventures together, of like traveling together, even though travel seems like it's just so difficult right now, but of traveling together and exploring some new places, whatever that means, because that's just something we haven't been able to do as much in the past, probably like 7 years or so, just as we adjusted to moving here and things like that. So, I think that more time in Italy.
Of course.
I just want to eat.
Surprise.
Good food. So that is our little 20th anniversary.
I so love you so much, and happy anniversary. It's so cool.
Happy anniversary, babe. I love you too. Sorry, we're getting cheesy here, you guys, with saying these things on here, but we are thankful for you guys. Sorry, this was a little bit of maybe something that is for us to go back and listen to, but maybe it's good for you too. As you think of like, what does your life look like 20 years from now, whether you're in a relationship or not, or what are your hopes and your dreams for the next 20 years? Don't put expectations on them, but things you're excited about to come, and realizing there will be hard bits in that too, but that always comes with growth and that kind of thing. So We are married for 20 years. That makes me feel very old. I will say that. That is one thing that makes me feel old. To say 20 years that we've been married. And it's been
funny
like
when we
24
tell people
years that we've been together.
Yeah. It's funny when we do say that we've been married that long here. And people like...
people just get married older.
Their eyes get so big. They're like, what? So it's just
They're
funny.
usually like, you mean you've been together for 20 years? Nope. We've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, well, now we'll be past 20 and people will be like, what did you just say?
Yeah,
I'll just keep continuing. So, happy anniversary. Yes. And we will talk to you guys next time. And we hope that you're doing well. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.